Hello, this is Michael Wojcik with the Rochester City Council update for June 1st, 2015. Interesting set of meetings we had today. I think the more interesting stuff actually happened before before the City Council meeting, at the committee meeting, at the dinner meeting. But four things I'm going to talk to you about. First and foremost, a lot of people were stunned to find out we're 18 million years behind, $18 million behind per year in maintaining our infrastructure. I, for one, am not stunned by that. That's a big part of the reason I voted against the budget this year, and I will continue to vote against it every year that we continue to ignore our responsibilities. Now, we've just gone through 50, 60 years of doing really dumb things. And the dumbest thing that we've probably done is when we're doing a development, we don't bother asking ourselves the question, will the taxes generated by this development be sufficient to maintain the services and infrastructure it needs? And in most cases, the answer is no, but we go ahead and build it anyways and wonder why this hole keeps getting bigger. Well, duh. So when I hear that, council members are stunned, well, pull your head out of the sand a little bit then. I mean, this shouldn't surprise anybody. And it's not a failure of public works. They're doing fantastic for what we're giving them. This is a failure of city administration to be fiscally responsible and constrained in our infrastructure, and it's a failure of the city council to show leadership on the issue. Not only are we not making the necessary steps to ensure that that we can afford the infrastructure that we're building, we're not even asking to study the issue. And it's ridiculous, and I hope this is a wake-up call that finally gets the city council off their butts and get them serious about this issue. There are a lot of people that care about this issue, but it's just not carrying any weight. It's not getting any traction on the city council. Not only are we in this big hole and not able to fund what we need to fund, but we're digging the hole even bigger. Every single time we build a cul-de-sac, we're throwing away a ton of future money. It's just an absolute waste, and yet we won't even ask for the data. It's ridiculous that we go down this path time and time again. And it's, to add insult to injury, we're actually offering massive subsidies, millions of dollars every year just in sewer infrastructure by itself, where the development fees don't come close to covering the cost. And as a result, we're subsidizing, making this hole even bigger. It is ridiculous, and and the city council just keeps falling on their face on this issue. And frankly, administration is not providing us good data on this either. Public Works totally gets it, and I'm glad that they're speaking up on what some of these issues are. Complicating the factor is that we have such a poor oversight program that we don't really control the inspection quality or the corrections being done on the roads that are being built by private developers before they come into the city. And I'm trying to change that. I'm proposing some new language that will require that either a city inspector or an inspector hired and paid for by the city will do all of the inspection of the road projects, which we're going to get to make sure they're done to our standards, and pass 100% of that cost on to the development. It's the right way to do it, it's the responsible way to do it, and it can help prevent the next shops on Main. So I hope that gets some traction. We really need to do better for our people, and we need to quit being so stupid with infrastructure. I think, the quote I had last time we approved cul-de-sacs, a couple of cul-de-sacs, it's like, so is today the day we're going to stop being stupid? Nope, guess not. We need to stop being stupid. It's for the future of our city. We're going to take away from our parks. We're going to take away from our library. We're going to take away from public safety. Everything's going to lose out because we're consumed by this massive cost of infrastructure. And you've seen it coming if you just looked in the right place. Next up, shocking, another massive error in planning. And this one bites two ways. First of all, we found out that there was discrepancies between what was published online and hard copies of the criteria for a special district versus what staff had. And staff actually had the correct version in their report. Unfortunately, what the public had was the incorrect version, and it was a massive difference. As a result, a special district that would have otherwise been approved was correctly denied. And then we thought, well, we found out there was these discrepancies, and we were wrong, and it shouldn't have been denied because the version that the city attorney had was actually incorrect. Until we found out, no, actually both versions were incorrect. In fact, there was a change that wasn't reflected in either place, which basically makes it damn near impossible to do special district in Rochester. This is personally humiliating to me because first and foremost, special districts are one of the great things we have because it allows neighborhoods and developers to cement mutually agreed upon terms and makes it legally binding. But now we just can't do it. And the reason why I say it's personally humiliating is I've got 3 special districts that I advocated for and worked out beautifully for the neighborhood and the developer right around me, except based on what the law was supposed to be, I don't think any of those three actually should have been able to be approved. Now, it wasn't my intention to break the law, because nobody told us correctly what the law was, but it doesn't change the embarrassment of having yet another planning process failure. You've heard this from me a number of times. We just keep failing, and it's got to stop. During the actual city council meeting, and of course that was discussed at the dinner meeting, which none of you really get an opportunity to see, but it's I guess that's maybe the public needs to know a little bit more about what's going on with these ongoing failures of the planning process. The Police Oversight Commission was put in place today. 7 outstanding individuals serving on that. They're not actually overseeing the police. They're overseeing police policies. I think this is going to be fantastic for the future of our community. It gives independent people an opportunity to review policies and make sure it's for the public good. Things that are going to be coming up like body cameras, how do we use them and store images. Those kind of policies, it's really important that citizens have some say on that, so that when it comes, if these ever come under fire for some reason, we could say, hey, look, we brought this to citizens, and this is what citizens thought was best. And it's really a great opportunity for citizens to have control over how the police operates. Last thing I want is, a situation where, to discover that the police department is, racist like the Ferguson cops were. You have a murderer on the street like this loser in South Carolina. We have a great police force that's well respected by the community here, and I want to make sure we keep it that way. And this is just one of those many things we're doing to be proactive to do that. Finally, it warms my heart. We actually had a nice development come forward tonight. It's beautiful. It's principally a 3-story building right on Mayo Park Drive, right across from the Civic Center. It's on about 2/3 of an acre. Beautiful. It's 29 units. It's 3 stories at the curb. Beautifully architected, beautifully landscaped. 1-to-1 parking ratio, which I think is overkill, but and they did that by extending the parking beyond the edges of the building. And they had this long, extensive neighborhood interaction process. When President Staver said this was a reason why our planning process can work, I'm like, well, yes, if you have an honest developer and an honest neighborhood, an honest discussion, any project can work. The problem is too often you have someone who's not honest, who come in and just straight out lie to the city council like a Mac Hamilton in there, and then you actually need a process that protects people and ensures integrity, and it's when you need that protection, that's when our process falls flat on its face. Not, when you have honest people. Hell, if you had honest people like this, you don't even need zoning, you don't even need planning, they'll just do the right thing. That doesn't always happen, and in this case, they were doing the right thing, and they got a great project that was unanimously approved 7-0. Interesting also, I like to point out that this density is substantially lower than the Oliver or the 501 First projects that came forward. Has 0 public subsidy in it, no incentive development, no tax increment financing, and no giveaway of land. I can't say that for the Oliver and the 501 on First. This is substantially better architecture and better massing for the neighborhood that it's in than either of those 2 projects. This is also lower density, believe it or not, than both of those 2 projects. This is also, the process they went through to get this approved was so much better than those other 2 projects. So here we have developers telling them they needed incentive or variances or TIF or to build over public land, under public land. They need all these subsidies. 501 First, $13 to $15 million in subsidies just for that project by itself. And yet here we have another project that's lower density, better scaling, not asking for any of that. So either these developers are crazy and they're going to lose their shirt, or else the city council's been jerked around by people getting a lot of taxpayer subsidy that didn't really need it. And I think that we can look at the numbers on this project and we can really hold developers' feet to the fire if we want. Lastly, this is honestly a beautiful project that I'm proud to have on the Rochester riverfront. Every project on our riverfront should be beautiful. Quit lowering the standards, people. We can be a great community. We don't have to put up with the crap that we're putting up with. So, I appreciate y'all watching, and I will catch you next time.